Welcome to another Straight Up Tuesday tip. I'm 𝗤𝗁𝗀𝗃𝗏. With me as always is Mark Ainley. Mark, how you doing?
Not bad, not bad. That was I haven't heard you had been coming on one for a while, so that was good.
Yeah, it feels good. And with us again, man, Aaron Sklar, and I actually pronounced the last name correctly this time. For those who don't know Aaron, him and
There you
Noah
go.
Burke have closed, I don't know, 70-something transactions. That number just goes up every day. So by the time this airs, we might be creeping in on 80 for the year, but just been killing it on the south side of Chicago. Aaron was with us on episode 141 2 years ago. And the topic there, I bring this up, how a new investor can catch the eye of successful commercial brokers. It's a great topic. It gets asked all the time at meetups. So if you're new to the game, looking to get a multifamily, go back and listen to that episode 141. But today, Aaron, you guys have been just killing it on the south side for the last 10 years. Twofold question. Which neighborhood has surprised you the most over the last 2-3 years where you missed and said, man, I didn't realize how hot this was going to be? And then forward thinking, which neighborhood do you think is going to have the biggest pop in the next 2 or 3 years? So twofold question. Let's go past before we jump to the future.
Well, Tom and Mark, it's a pleasure to be back here. There is a lot to unfold in that question, so I apologize if I'm going to blabber off into the oblivion. But in my opinion,
it's a podcast. That's what you're supposed to do, man.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. In my opinion, and I don't want to give too much because I'm doing Rogan tomorrow, so I gotta little leave a little to the imagination. But in my opinion, the biggest difference between now and 5-10 years ago is not just necessarily one neighborhood or one pocket or one area. Rewind the clock 5-10 years ago, you could go anywhere on the south side, whether it's South Shore to the lake, Chatham, Washington Park, Inglewood by the highway, or even farther west to Marquette Park, Auburn, Gresham, and so on and so forth. 5-10 years ago, even more so, closer to 7 to 10 years ago, the whole south side of Chicago was just ridden and almost polluted with vacant lots and a lot of rundown buildings. I mean, you can go down really any block in the whole, a whole 5-10 mile radius, and every single block would probably have a vacant lot, an abandoned building. And fast forward the clock to the present day, vacant lots and abandoned buildings are far and few between. I mean, there's not a whole lot of them. And so I would say the biggest difference between then and now is really the living conditions of the whole neighborhood. A lot of these vacant lots have been developed and built on either a single family, a duplex, something along those sorts. And a lot of these abandoned buildings have been renovated, updated, and basically brought back to life. With that said, to answer the second part of your question, Tom, I would say that your areas tertiary and adjacent to Hyde Park have really been the biggest benefactors of, like, wow, this area is, day and night compared to what it was yesterday, right?
So what are some of those pockets? What are for our listeners who don't know?
Think of Hyde Park. You can go, you can really go, left, right, up, down, north, south, east, west. Of course, east is the lake, so you can't really go there, but up and down, north and south, you have East Woodlawn and Jackson Park, to the south of it, between, let's say, low 60s and up, 60s to 70s and whatnot. To the north, you have Kenwood and Bronzeville, which has just been in fuego lately. And even to the west of it, you have West Woodlawn and Washington Park. And I would say that all of those, 4 neighborhoods, 4 or 5 neighborhoods have really seen the most growth, appreciation, and development, over the past really just a few years as Hyde Park continues to expand.
What's been the big drivers of that? Has it just been investor speculation? Has there been the city putting money into it? Has it been the university?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of really all three. A lot of speculation in that, hey, you have the nucleus right here, which is Hyde Park, and you have so much, this is one of the nicest neighborhoods of Chicago that, heck, a lot of people don't know about. I mean, Hyde Park is one of the nicest neighborhoods where homes are, it's tough to find a home under $1 million, right? And Hyde Park is this random, beautiful neighborhood that's really plopped right in the middle of the south side of Chicago, right? And so, like I said, up, down, east, west, left, right, you name it. Of course, to the east or left is the lake of it, depending on which way you look. But all of those other adjacent parts that are hugging and kissing Hyde Park, there's been a lot of speculation. Number two, the University of Chicago is expanding like wildfire. And University of Chicago is Hyde Park is the home of the University of Chicago, one of the best schools in the country. And so Hyde Park, Hyde Park just gets a lot of investor speculation, and a lot of people want to be there. Most of the people who invest in Hyde Park invest there, for that reason, and they're trophy properties. People buy these buildings like they're in Lincoln Park. They want to hold them forever and bequeath them to their children or grandchildren. I mean, these are properties that stay in the family. So there's a ton of speculation. And a few years ago, I don't know if our viewers are going to remember this, but prior to the Obama Library, which is really in Jackson Park / Hyde Park, prior to the development of the Obama Library, there was a ton of speculation and no one was certain where it was going to go. But the two choices, I think the two runner-ups at the time, and this is years before COVID, so hell, my memory is all foggy prior to 2020, but this is like 6-7 years ago when people were determining whether or where rather the Obama Library was going to go. And the two choices were Washington Park or Jackson Park. At the time, there was so much speculation. So many investors were just chomping at the bit to buy buildings in those areas just so they could get ahead of the curve, and betting on the future of what the Obama Library was going to bring. And then if you even want to rewind the clock backwards a little bit more, before my time, almost 20 years ago, the same thing happened again, or the same thing happened 20 or however many years ago with the Olympic rush. I don't know if you So yeah, there were a lot of speculation that the Chicago was going to be home of the Olympics, and there were so many developers, renovators, fix-it, flippers, you name it, that were just betting on the area's appreciation because of the Olympics. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you want to call it, Chicago wasn't granted the Olympic bid, and that was another period in time of speculation where those areas were just in fuego, right? Prices were just going up and up and up because people were just chasing the opportunity that unfortunately never materialized.
Yeah, that was probably the worst and best day. That was very depressing when they got eliminated from the Olympics in moment one, like within 5 minutes of that announcement. But two, it opened up the window for 5-6 years of being able to buy stuff dirt cheap that I probably wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for us not getting Olympics. But what a lot of people, what you kind of said there is, the university is a huge driver, and a lot of people don't realize that university's been like in that neighborhood since the late 1800s. There's not much stuff that's been around Chicago for that long, and they continue to only grow, and their endowment, what they have, and their opportunity to do these partnerships, private, public, is huge. And that's not going to stop anytime soon. And I've always heard the rumors going back from the Olympics days of all those open lots that have been around in Washington Park have some sort of strategy around the University of Chicago, kind of straddling the entire park as well, too. Yeah,
I agree with you, Mark. But one thing that has not been true since the 1800s, or at least is not nearly as true as it is fast forward to the present day. If you look at a graph of Hyde Park, even 5 years ago to 50 years ago, it's probably just going to be, boxed in between the lake to the east, Cottage Grove to the west, maybe even before Cottage Grove, 57th or 55th Hyde Park Boulevard to the north, and maybe I think we can argue, is it 59 or 61 to the south. And so that's really what it's always been. For the past 5 years, 10 years, there has been a massive push of Hyde Park expanding. You can drive around Hyde Park right now. 10 years ago, if you weren't well-versed in the Southside, 61 to 63, that was a rough area. That was an area with a ton of abandoned lots, just a ton of riprap, and an area that you probably wouldn't want to go trick-or-treating in this time of year in 3 weeks, right? But fast forward to the present day, Hyde Park, without a doubt, pushes to 63rd. And I think, in my opinion, it's going south to 66, probably, where East Woodlawn is. But if you go up to 63rd, it's nestled with new construction. There's there's hundreds of new construction. And again, this is an area where, 6 years ago, I remember developers who were in the multifamily game were building spec homes and trying to sell them for $500,000. And my partner Noah and I were like, dude, are you crazy? This is, this is 62nd and, Drexel University, Woodlawn, whatever. Like, what are you doing? And sure enough, those buildings surprised everyone. I think even the developers, they sold like that. And now, I mean, if you can get a beautiful new construction home for $500,000 over there, I mean, you're in the green day one. And so, to kind of combat and piggyback on what you said, Mark, yeah, Hyde Park has been around for the last, 100+ years, but it hasn't been until recently where it's just pushing west, it's pushing north, and it's pushing south.
Yeah. So Aaron, we're bullish on Hyde Park for the next 2-3 years. Give us another pocket or another neighborhood that you feel is going to have, overperform compared to other neighborhoods over the next few years.
I mean, I'm incredibly bullish on South Shore. South Shore has some of the most beautiful real estate geography in the city of Chicago. I mean, you have, think of up north, Edgewater, Rogers Park, along Sheridan Road. You have these beautiful multifamily buildings, these beautiful, gorgeous courtyards, these high rises on the lake. You have a couple single family homes sprinkled in, but this is just a beautiful area that when you're driving north down Sheridan or south down Sheridan, again, up north in Edgewater, Uptown, Rogers Park, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And South Shore in the south side of Chicago has the exact same real estate. It has the exact same buildings. It is absolutely beautiful. You look out your window and you're in Lake Michigan, right? I think this is an area, if you're able to pick something up along the lake in South Shore, I am very bullish on that. We've seen a ton of rent growth. We've seen a ton of rent growth farther north in South Shore, high 60s, low 70s, even the mid 70s along the lake, and it's pushing farther inward too. So I'm very, very, very bullish on those areas, and I think it's going to continue to expand.
Then we got the announcement. I don't know if you guys even heard this yet this morning. The Southworks, they got Related's got an actual project for more of a tech microprocessing type center to develop the entire Southworks here that actually has some, there's no residential involved, but it's got some really strong feet to actually get approved and not have to go up against the stupid stuff for the residential that they always are worried about, the affordable housing, to ever have a project launch. So I'm excited.
Exactly. I couldn't agree with you more, Mark. The Southworks site has been in the works for, I don't even know, longer than I've been around for the last, 15, 20 years. And it seems like every 3 or even 5 years, there's a new bidder who is going to take on the project. They have some grandiose plans of everything they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and everything in between. But unfortunately, it always seems to fizzle out up until, today, this week, this month, when the announcement that this developer is going to do this and this is what their plans are. And I knew that Related was involved, but this is the first time, at least in my opinion, where you have a local juggernaut who has not only the market knowledge and the capabilities, but a track record that really everyone believes in. And so it's stuff like this that drives a lot of investor appetite to an area. So this is super exciting. And that site is exactly what I was talking about along the lake. Now it's a little farther south, but not much, right? The areas I was alluding to, high 60s, low 70s, even mid 70s. The site we're talking about, this is low 80s, right? So it's right there. It's just blocks away, right? And so if you have all of this investment coming right here that actually comes to fruition, I don't see how it's not going to explode the area.
Yeah, Southworks Quantum Mega Project. The amount of square footage they're saying I'm not even going to say the number. It's some crazy number as far as the zoning they're trying to get approved for. And even though it doesn't have a residential component to it, it will help. If anything, that's better because it'll help the housing stock around there, which can always. We're talking about.
And look, Mark, I couldn't agree with you more. A lot of people are not bullish. A lot of people are bearish on Chicago just because, look, Chicago has its own challenges. But the one thing Chicago does not have that every single other big city has is cranes going up in the sky right now, bringing new housing stock to market. There is not a whole lot of new housing stock to market, which again only benefits the current guys who are holding inventory, your current landlords. And again, to piggyback on what you just said, if there's no residential component, all of your adjacent areas, neighborhoods, and just places that feed around it are going to significantly benefit.
Yeah, especially the much needed commercial component down there, because all these people that will be going to this place will need places to do their kind of their hair, their nails, their food, all that. So
everyone's got nails. Not everyone has hair. Everyone's got nails though.
Oh, you got the best hair on this call, dude. So
jeez, yeah, Aaron taking shots.
Yeah, I got, you know, look, I'm not exactly 6'7", but I do have a full head of hair, all right?
All right, good stuff. Let's wrap here, Mark. Who we playing for? I'm assuming our sponsor is Kiser.
Yep, our sponsor today, Kiser Group. We're playing for Tristan Douglas, who bought a t-shirt off Straight Up Chicago Investor Podcast merch store. Tristan, if myself or Aaron get this right, you get $50 gift card brought to you by Kiser Group.
All right, so we're going back to an architectural question. So John S. Van Bergen.
Well, you can count me out.
No, it's multiple choice. He's a close colleague and co-worker with Frank Lloyd Wright. He designed and built the Ellen Miller House, a prairie-style home. It's the only surviving example of his work. It's found in Chicago. It's located in South Shore, which we mentioned on the show. What street is this Ellen Miller home located on? And your options are Dorchester, Paxton, Crandon, or Yates. Which one of these South Shore streets is this thing located on?
Well, Tristan, there's about a 25% chance you're getting $50 here.
No, 50. Mark gets to guess too.
I'm trying to picture, like, they have another Frank Lloyd Wright in West Woodlawn as well too, over there on Vernon. But I thought that's where this was going. I'm gonna say Yates, because I know Yates had a higher end homes back in the early 1800s when this was built. So you got Dorchester, Paxton, or Crandon. What's it gonna be, Aaron?
So I'm gonna say it's not Dorchester, right? Because I don't think Dorchester is technically, if you want to bring in the technicalities into this question, I don't think Dorchester is technically in South Shore.
Pretty far west, yeah. It's not Dorchester. We'll make this easier for you.
I'm gonna say it's not Yates either, because Yates is a very not necessarily commercial, but it's a big street. So I'm gonna say it's not Yates. It's either Paxton or Crandon. This is the question. I'm gonna flip a coin and say it's probably Paxton. Tristan, what do we got?
We got Paxton. That was some good deductive reasoning.
You like that?
Nice. All right, Tristan.
Tom, let's keep going, Tom.
You just cost Lee Kiser 50 bones. Nice work.
Sorry about that. So I should have said Crandon.
Nice. All right, man. Aaron, thanks for coming on, dude. I know we got a few other topics. You're going to come back on here soon. Tom, thank you as always. Listeners, anyone that you know be a great guest, let us know. If you have someone that's done a few deals and had struggles and wants to be vulnerable, come on here and share. We'd love to hear it. If you have someone that's done a lot of deals, wants to come on here and be vulnerable. The correlation is people coming on here and helping other people not make the same mistake. So if you know someone that'd be a great fit, send them over to us.
Oh, I got struggles. All right. I'm driving the struggle bus.
All right, Aaron. Thank you. Tom, thank you. And listeners, we'll see you Thursday.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.